What is up, guys? Welcome to the Sunday COD History Top 10, and these are the top 10s where these are my personal list. And today, we've got a good one, but it's also a new month. It is November, which means it is another channel giveaway. So the PlayStation 4 giveaway is active. Watch this. This month's giveaway is for a new PlayStation 4 console. All you have to do to enter is drop a like on this video, be subscribed to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you never miss an upload. And in the comment section, let me know why you want to win the PS4 and include your Twitter handle so I can contact you if you're the winner. The winner will be announced at the end of the month. Good luck, guys. Make sure you enter and drop a like on this video. Let's see if we can hit 2,500 likes on this bad boy, and we're going to talk about equipment. Now, equipment pieces were first introduced to the Call of Duty franchise all the way back in 2007 with COD 4, and they've since become a huge part of the class system, with each new entry in the series adding more and more cool ways to assist you in battle. But just like every aspect of the COD franchise, the equipment pieces offered the player aren't always that helpful, and that's what we're going over. We're going to be counting down my picks for the 10 worst equipment pieces in COD history. You guys be sure to let me know in the comments which one you think is the worst, and let's get into it. Kicking off our list today is the Scrambler in Modern Warfare 3. This is an equipment piece that probably sounded awesome during the planning stage, but really just became a liability in actual gameplay. The Scrambler is a deployable item that will cause the enemy's minimap to get distorted if they walk into the radius, meaning that UAVs, portable radars, or anything else you would use the radar for is useless while you're in there. But what's so bad about this? Well, because if you walk into the room and your minimap goes down, you immediately know for a fact that someone is already there waiting for you. Scrambler is really just a way for the enemy to identify where other players are hiding, since you can just play a game of hot and cold with your minimap until you find them. And pretty much, the people pretty much only use this piece of equipment to complete challenges. It was kind of worthless. At number 9, we have concussion grenades in Call of Duty World War II. Now, it was a mixed bag with this game for people, and it came out, even as time went on and the game improved, not many people came back to it. One thing that initially turned me off to World War II was how wimpy and awkward the concussion grenades were, and this is something that never got fixed. In other COD games, the concussion grenades are quick, effective, and they activate pretty soon after being thrown. But in World War II, the concussion grenades took forever to actually throw, and then even after they hit the ground, they take another couple seconds to actually detonate, meaning that in order to actually hit someone with a concussion grenade, you essentially have to make a pretty hard prediction on where they're going to be in the next 4 to 5 seconds, because that was how long it was going to take the grenade to actually go off. Plus, things just got worse for concussion grenades after the Division rework, since pretty much everybody was running the Armored Division after that, which is immune to concussion grenades anyway. Oh, the Black Hat in Black Ops 3. It takes our number 8 spot, and this thing should have been awesome, but it ended up falling short. The Black Hat was a device you could use to have enemy equipment pieces and kill streaks and turn them into your own, and the bigger the thing was you were hacking, the longer it would take, which sounds cool. Unfortunately, in order to hack a kill streak, which is what everybody wanted to do, you would have to stand still for upwards of 10 to 20 seconds, during which you would almost always either get shot or the kill streak would expire and go away, making it a complete waste of time. Now, the Black Hat could have been awesome, and I know they did this for balancing purpose, because I do believe it was actually super strong in the beginning, and then they nerfed it, but I think they went a little too far with the timer for the sake of balance, because instead of it being a hard and rewarding equipment piece, it just ended up being pointless and not worth taking with you into battle. Let's go back to Call of Duty World War II at number 7 for the gas grenade, and this was originally really good, but unfortunately got indirectly nerfed back to Hades. When COD World War II first came out, players quickly realized that you could combo the gas grenade with the espionage basic training to get an easy way to paint enemies on the minimap, in the same way that people used to combo flashbangs with Recon Pro back in the Modern Warfare 3 days. Drop a like if that was you. However, it didn't take long for Sledgehammer to realize that this combo was a little too good, and well, they patched it. They patched the gas grenades so that their damage wouldn't work with requisitions, essentially rendering the grenades useless since their base damage was so low anyway. Oh well, I guess. At number 6, the night vision goggles in COD 4. Did anyone actually use these things? They were a universal equipment piece that everybody had at all times in the original Modern Warfare, and I'm pretty sure Infinity Ward intended for them to be used on night maps. However, there's a few problems with this. First of all, the night vision goggles are way too bright and overpowering to the users, making it much easier to just deal with darker lighting than actually use them. Second of all, There's hardly any night maps in COD 4 in the first place. Sure, there's wet work, but are there any other maps where the night vision goggles could be used? They essentially just became a joke in the COD community. People just used them as a sign of disrespect to other players, like when you would get the final kill in S&D and then you would flash your night vision over and over again as a little alternative to teabagging or shooting their dead body. Cracking into the top 5 today of useless equipment, the signal flare in World at War. This is an equipment piece that I honestly don't know how it got past the testing stage without anybody at Treyarch realizing how underpowered it was. Now, the signal flare in World at War was obviously supposed to be a replacement for the flashbangs introduced in COD 4, but unfortunately, it just took way too long to become effective after throwing them on the battlefield, and even after you got them in an enemy's face, they were too easy to counter since you could just turn away from them and the effects weren't that strong. Thankfully, the signal flares got a much-needed buff in COD World War II, but even then, they really weren't that good. At number 4, and you knew it was going to be on the list, you just didn't know where. SATCOMs in Call of Duty Ghosts. I know this is technically, it's a kill streak and not an equipment piece, but I couldn't resist the opportunity to make fun of this thing one more time. Ghost was supposed to be this super epic next-gen Call of Duty game that ended up just being a disappointment for a lot of people, and one of the biggest missteps that Infinity Ward made during the development of this was the decision to replace UAVs with this weird device called a SATCOM, although the community ended up renaming them UAV boxes. These were basically UAVs, but with a smaller radius and on the ground so enemies could easily spot them, destroy them, and in order to get a standard UAV like in previous games, you had to stack a bunch of these. Now, I know this was an attempt to make the game more team-oriented, but it just served to be more of an annoyance than anything else. Keep UAVs in the sky where they belong. At number 3, the sensor grenade in Black Ops 2. What were these things even for, honestly? When BO2 first came out, honestly, it took me a while to figure out what the point of the sensor grenade was, and even after I learned its purpose, I think I only used it a handful of times. For those that weren't around in the BO2 days, the sensor grenade worked the same way as the portable radar did in Modern Warfare 3, but it could be thrown much further and lasted a lot less time. Plus, the sensor grenade had a much smaller area of effect than the portable radar, so it wasn't nearly as helpful. Plus, again, the sensor grenade was loud as hell, so if someone threw it, all the enemies in the area knew to just not go near it so they wouldn't be spotted. Plus, one more time, this thing didn't actually show enemies in real time, so by the time you looked at your minimap to see where they were, the information was already outdated and useless. And the final plus, it had a really annoying feature where it didn't detect anybody after being thrown. It would just explode, so it wasn't nearly as helpful as the portable radar, which could just be left in a certain area until it was destroyed. Long story short here, the sensor grenade was a nerfed version of the portable radar, but it was nerfed so hard that it became almost completely useless. At number 2, and I have some personal history with this thing, the camera spike in Black Ops. You guys know I love the original Black Ops, but even I can't deny the fact that there was some really crappy equipment pieces. Perhaps the most infamous of them all is the camera spike. It was a pretty cool idea, I will admit that, as you could place it somewhere on the map, then you could always have a little live feed in the bottom left corner of your screen, making it pretty helpful for objective modes like search and destroy, since you could constantly keep your eye on the bomb sites. It's kind of some Rainbow Six Siege stuff way back, and it was pretty cool, but there were tons of problems with it. First of all, the thing is huge and really easy to spot, so people will destroy it as soon as they see it. Second of all, players who are using the Ghost perk, which was far and away the most popular perk in the game, were immune to the camera spike and wouldn't even show up on the user's live feed. And in Search and Destroy, pretty much everybody had Ghost on, meaning that in the one game mode where the camera spike could have been helpful, it's essentially rendered useless because of the meta of the game. And lastly, the camera spike is just not nearly as helpful as other equipment pieces in the game, so there was really no point in taking it. You would rather take Claymores or C4, but if there's one equipment piece in the original Black Ops that is even more pointless than the camera spike, well, it's our number 1 spot. And it belongs, my friends, to Willie Pete. That's right, good old Willie Pete, perhaps the most notoriously useless equipment piece in COD history, and my pick for number 1. Now, for those that don't know or weren't around in the BO1 days, the Willie Pete was supposed to be kind of like a gas grenade that would emit a big smoke screen that did damage to players inside. Sounds okay. Fortunately, there were certain traits about the grenade that rendered it useless. First of all, the smoke grenade that it emitted only lasted 8 seconds. Secondly, it does only about 10 damage to players inside it. Thirdly, it doesn't actually do any damage during the animation for letting the smoke out. I'm not sure if that was a design decision or just a bug that was never fixed. Fourth, the Willie Pete is the only grenade in the entire game that does not get increased by the Warlord Pro perk, making it actually kind of a liability if you choose to run it while using that perk. And finally, here we go. It sucks. I don't know how else to say it other than it sucks. And there you have it, my friends. Those are 10 of the worst pieces of equipment in COD history. That is my personal list. You can let me know what your list includes if you want to. You can put it in the comments or you can tweet it at me. If you guys enjoyed this, I do a Sunday COD history every single Sunday. Drop a like, make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications, and I'll see you next Sunday. Well, I'll see you sooner than that, but I'll see you next Sunday for COD.